I have some tour dates to tell you about. I'll be in Las Vegas, Nevada over Labor Day weekend. If you're going to be there, then I will too. I'll be in Bend, Oregon, Spokane, Washington, Portland, Oregon, Vancouver in the Canada, Oklahoma City, North Little Rock, Springfield, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, Sioux Falls, La Crosse, Green Bay, Moline, Lafayette, Louisiana, and Beaumont, Texas. All tickets through theovon.com/TOUR. And thank you so much for your support. I can't thank you enough. You know, my ninth grade civics teacher, Barbara Olinger, would be tickled to know that one of her students is getting to sit down with a president today. So I just want to speak her name. She taught me to care about our country, and I still do. Today's guest is the 45th president of the United States of America, and he's currently running for president on the Republican ticket. He's been an entrepreneur, a businessman, a television personality. We sat down at his club in Bedminster, New Jersey, and we want to thank the crew there for helping us make the production happen. He's one of the most famous people on earth, and I'm grateful for this chance to learn more about the man behind the headlines. Today's guest is Donald Trump. Shine that light on me. I'll sit and tell you my stories. Shine on me, and I will find a song I will sing it.
But your thing is going really great. My son's a big fan of yours, Barron.
Really, Barron is?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
he just graduated high school, right?
That's right. He just did. He knows you very well. He said, "Dad, he's big."
Wow.
Yeah, big one.
That's cool.
So that's good.
What,
well, that's where it is nowadays, right?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. You know, yeah, I can't believe that we're able to get platforms. And I started in my kitchen, and then just evolved out of there.
That's fantastic.
I mean, it's pretty unbelievable. What does Barron play?
Do you want to start? You go ahead.
Yeah, we're good. Are we rolling?
Yeah, sure.
We're good. Yeah, that's does Barron play sports or anything?
He does. He plays golf and different sports, soccer. Loves soccer. Very good at soccer. He's a good athlete, Barron.
Yeah. Is he gonna go? Has he already picked a college or no?
He has, and he's getting set to go in the fall. Good college, a very good one. And he was always a very good student. He's smart guy.
Which one of your kids, what's something you admire about each one of your sons?
Well, Don is a hunter. He's a great, great hunter, and knows everything about that world and guns and all. He was the first one that said, "Dad, boy, you got lucky," because I didn't realize that 130 yards is actually very close in that parlance. And he said, "You got lucky." He knew immediately when he saw that. He said, "It's incredible," because that's considered a pretty close distance.
From how far the shooter was?
Yeah.
Oh,
And the guy wasn't a bad shooter, supposedly. You know, he was a very disturbed guy, but he wasn't a bad shooter. And Eric, likewise, he loves the business. He loves real estate. Also very much of a hunter and understands a lot of things about that. They were sort of, as young guys, they were with their grandfather, and he would take them hunting in Czechoslovakia. And somehow they developed very well. And
Czechoslovakia,
yeah,
damn.
can you imagine?
It's a lot of letters even.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
That's the name you don't hear too much anymore, but it was...
I'd need a scope just to get through the spelling of that word.
That's right.
I think,
A lot of people.
Yeah.
But so he'd go, they'd spend time in Europe and they'd do that. That's where he learned a lot about both of them, really good.
With your dad, they would go?
No, grandfather, actually. They had a grandfather who was a wonderful outdoorsman and athlete. And during the summer, he'd take them out into the woods and they'd go hunting and lots of things, and they loved it. They got to love it. And that's Don and that's Eric.
Yeah, they're funny.
Oh, yeah.
They have a good sense of humor, too. Like, whenever I see them at UFC, it's like...
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I just, the first time I was nervous, I think, and then after that, when I've seen them, it's like, it's fun to kind of cut up with them a little bit.
Yeah, well, they're good. They're good guys, and they really they get along great with the rest of the family. We all get along great. We have a good family, but I love UFC. You talk about a great guy. How about Dana White?
Yeah.
The job he does, right?
Yeah, I want to thank Dana too for helping get us set up together. Yeah, he makes it happen. I like Dana. He doesn't waste words. He doesn't waste time. He likes to, I think, be efficient, and he has seems like a strong sense of integrity for himself.
Yeah, nobody like him, actually. It's, there's an expression that everybody is replaceable. Not Dana.
Yeah.
Nobody could do what he does, and he's made that sport into a big monster sport.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, and we go there and we enjoy it, go with him. Sometimes we do walk-ons with Dana, and place sort of likes it.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, but
there's
Dana,
a video of us.
have,
I was behind you in one video. I'm sure the dogs here will pull it up. But yeah, those are some of my favorite things ever. UFC became my favorite sport during the pandemic because Dana was brave enough to stay open. He was the whole ball game. He was the only sport, and he'd open up in arenas with nothing other than very good fighters. Yeah.
And they would be fighting. He had some of the best fights during the pandemic.
Yeah.
But it
was exceptional. There it is right there. See, look. There you are, and I'm right behind you there.
Oh,
clapping with that hat on. I'm the white guy in the hat.
That's great. That's right. The white guy in the hat is right. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of us there, but I was one of them for sure.
That's right.
See, that's me right there.
Good sport, isn't it, huh?
Yeah. I'm a Dustin Poirier fan. So.
Oh, he's great. He was, I tell you, he's a warrior. That last fight he had, whether you like it or not, he is a warrior.
Yeah. Yeah, it felt like he didn't get the victory, but it didn't feel like he lost.
No, he didn't lose that fight. He really, the man he was fighting was tough. He was tough and didn't expect that same fight. But he oftentimes he makes people suffer. There's no question about it. No, he's a pro. He's a professional.
Yeah, he's all heart. He's from Louisiana. That's where I'm from.
As that fight went along, he just got stronger and stronger, and he was getting pounded. And he was going to be choked out about 4 different times, and he just wouldn't let it happen. No, you say hello to him. He's good.
Yeah, I'll make sure to.
He's a really great fighter.
And he cooks Thanksgiving dinner every year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have to go sometime.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
he must do good food.
He does, yeah. He does some good stuff over there. Yeah, what was the first? Do you remember like the first fight that you ever went to, whether it was UFC or boxing or anything?
Yeah, I do. It was Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali, in Madison Square Garden many, many years ago. And I think that was the first fight I went to. I always liked the boxing.
How old were you, remember?
Oh, boy, I don't know. You can deduct it from what I am now, but it was a long time ago. But they were 2 undefeated fighters. They were both undefeated. Muhammad became a friend of mine. So did Joe, Jolton Joe. They were 2 great fighters. That fight was incredible. I think they had like many heart attacks that night, literally heart attacks in Madison Square Garden. I think it was Madison Square Garden. And the fight was so unbelievable. 2 undefeated heavyweight champions of the world. There was no UFC and there was no competition really. It was it.
Yeah.
And so you had the 2 guys. Remember that Muhammad wasn't allowed to fight because of lots of different things. And he was a terrific guy. Both terrific guys, very different. And they
finally made it happen? They finally made that bout happen?
So they had 2 undefeated heavyweight champions fighting.
And who took you to the fight, you remember?
I went with my father and my brother, Robert. And it was just, I don't know, I must have been very young. It was a long time ago, but you would never forget it. That was one of those moments.
Oh, yeah.
But no, literally, there were like many heart attacks in the arena.
Just people having too much fun, or what do you think? It was drugs?
Having heart attacks because it was such a crazy event.
Oh, yeah.
It was so, the people were just, I know a friend of mine, the father, he had a bad heart attack. Literally, they took him out. They were taking people out.
It's an early KO.
And I don't hear that anymore. I mean, there were other exciting sporting events. I don't think there's ever been, I don't know, I guess there has. But you would think Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali, their first fight. Yeah. But it was a very exciting time.
Well, yeah, and just people being, I guess, sometimes our systems aren't ready to handle the amount of excitement that's going on, you know? Like, I think, maybe people just couldn't even handle so much joy. You think it was that people were just so excited.
They had heart attacks. Yeah. I mean, they just had, I guess they do it, maybe Super Bowls or something.
Oh, people have heart attacks eating a thick soup, you know? So it's like, I'm not surprised that something so awesome like that would make your heart be like, yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, but I never hear of it, and I'm sure it happens. Just that one. But we had an exciting event the other night with Elon Musk and me.
I listened.
We had a pretty big audience for that one, I can tell you.
Yeah, I listened for probably about like 20 minutes. I thought it was cool. It was. I think the tough part was just like it would have been neat if you guys could have been in the same spot, But I still thought it was exceptional.
I heard the audio was great, and actually they put out a clear tape of it because they had clear tape.
Oh, nice.
They had so many millions and millions of people watching, like record numbers of people. And I'm trying to figure out, we're on a cell phone, or I was, and, that's a lot of people coming into a cell phone one way or the other.
Yeah.
But I heard some people had a problem with the audio. I don't know. I don't do that thing. That was done. And we had a great conversation. It was for 2 hours and 15 minutes. They just put out a clear tape of it, a perfect tape of it. But I sounded, I think I sounded, somebody said your voice was distorted or something. And I guess it happens. Look, it was such a big thing, such a big audience, but I would have loved to have seen the clear tape originally. They put it out right after the show. So now it's a clear tape where a perfect tape done there.
Yeah.
But when it goes through different phone systems and everything else, you think if we were together, that doesn't happen then. Because I think his voice was more clear than mine.
Maybe because he was the one who was like initiating the call. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure about how all that works. But yeah, I know that in post, a lot of times they can tighten things up and make it better, Yeah, it's amazing how Elon, like, the cost to really have your own voice in the world is $44 billion, basically.
Yeah. Well,
if you want to have your voice, like, what I'm saying? He has his own channel.
And he does what he wants to do. Yeah. And he's a fantastic guy. And he's a brilliant person. And the country should be very proud of him, actually. I have Truth, which has been very successful.
True Social, you mean?
True Social, yeah. And that's been very successful in getting my voice out. Well, I needed a voice because, I was on Twitter and I was on Instagram. I was on all of it. And I was on Facebook. And when you added it up, I was told by Zuckerberg and others, it was like record-setting type of numbers. And then one day I didn't have anything because they canceled. They canceled.
There's such a collusion there, right?
Yeah, it was a pretty bad thing. And so I had nothing. So after about a month, I have a lot of things to say. And after about a month, I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just go out and put out an old public relations statement. You remember that? And although you're a little young to see it, but in the old days, you'd put out a statement. And I did, and it was just gobbled up. It was really gobbled up. And I opened Truth, and Truth has become terrific, actually, for me.
Good platform.
I really want just as a platform. It's more important than anything else. And
well, at least you have your voice then. You can say what you want to say.
It gave me my voice back, yeah. I had hundreds of millions of people. Even now, I haven't been too active on X, but I have, I guess, 90-some-odd million people on it. But I was much higher than that when I was
It's like
actually
all the people. I don't even know how many people there are.
Yeah, it's been, but I love the job he's done, and he's brought a certain voice back into play.
Yeah.
The previous people were terrible.
Yeah.
Every time you do a thing, you'd be red flagged. They'd put up a red flag. Every statement you made, you'd be red flagged.
Yeah, it's almost like, it's like when you have a babysitter and they don't want to have any fun or whatever.
Yeah, right.
That's kind of the vibe I got. When you, because I see you at the fights. I see you, sometimes you'll sit right by Dana. And sometimes I'll sit, like me, I'll go with like David Spade sometimes as a close friend of mine.
Good.
And, I'll see you coming with Kid Rock and and you don't drink at the fights.
By the way, Kid Rock is, he's terrific. He came to the convention. He knocked everybody out. He was fantastic. He's a great guy. He's just a great guy. He's popular, very popular.
Oh, he's definitely, he's a real dirt serpent too, dude. He's a freaking legend,
Yeah,
He's a legend.
He is a legend, I guess, in a true sense.
Oh, 100%. People love him, dude. Look at him. I went to his show not long ago somewhere, and people, I think some guy had a heart attack there too, but it was like, it was more funnel cake related, I think, type of vibes.
He draws big crowds, actually. It's amazing. I saw one, he was out someplace recently at 80,000 people. He's big stuff, but he's forget about that. I call him Bob, named Bob, right? It's Bob, Kid Rock, but it's Bob. But he's a really good guy. And
I've been over to his house
he's a cool cat, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I live in Nashville. Right when I got into town, he hit me up one night and was like, "Hey man, I'm having a birthday party this week and you should come." And I didn't even know him, and it was nice of him. And since then, we've done a lot of fun stuff together. His brother's missing a leg too, which is crazy. He looks like the lamp. Have you ever seen that movie, The Lamp, like from like a Christmas Story or whatever?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But he's fantastic. The family, the father, I knew very well. He just passed away. And it was a tough one.
You knew his dad?
For the brother. I did. And he was fantastic.
Yeah.
I got to know him through knowing Bob. And I tell you what, it's just a fantastic family, the whole family.
Yeah. No, I love Bob. He and I joke around together a lot. We've spent a lot of time together. Look at his brother right there.
That's right.
The dude hits
And you know what? He
dingers,
plays
too.
golf and he plays well. He hit a perfect drive with me. I said, "Do you play?" We were on the 17th hole. I said, "Do you play?" He goes, "Yes." I said, "Oh, really? You want to hit a shot?" And he said, "Okay." And he got up. Well, it was very hard for him to put it was really a tough situation because he has to get the ball in the ground and the tee and everything else. Nobody did it for him. And he did it. I mean, he goes to the ground and he did it, gets up. He swung, and I'm a good golfer. He had a perfect shot out to the right with a little hook. Nobody knows what that means in your audience probably, but that's like a perfect shot. And I said, "That is perfect." He said, "I'll do it again." I said, "Don't do it again because you'll never be able to hit a shot that good." And it was really amazing. He's great. And Bob really.
He'll do it again too.
They
He's a
love the
repeat
family.
offender.
They
they're great.
really have an amazing family.
Oh
They
no,
love
Bob's great. I've been to parties at his house. One thing that's really nice about him is I'll go do something with him, and then like a few days later, he'll send a nice note, or he'll send like a photo, like a frame photo, and just say, "Hey man, I had a nice time."
Yeah.
I noticed at the events you don't drink, and you don't drink or smoke, right?
I don't drink or smoke. No.
You never have.
No, I never have. I had a great brother who taught me a lesson. Don't drink. And he said, "Don't smoke." He smoked and he drank, and he was a great guy. He was a very handsome guy.
Is he older? He was older?
Quite a bit older, yeah. And he had a problem with alcohol and smoke a lot. But, I tell people, no drugs, no drinking, no cigarettes.
Yeah.
I tell that to my kids all the time. I'd say, no drugs, no drinking, no smoke. And
It was tough.
He'd always tell me, he'd say never. So he was, really old enough that you would look up to somebody, and I'd look up to him anyway.
Did you admire him?
Yeah, I admired so much about him. He had so much going. He had the look. What
was his name?
Unbelievable personality, like an incredible personality.
What was his name, Donald?
His name was Fred Trump. And he had a problem with alcohol. He got addicted to it because they say alcohol is tougher than drugs to get off of. I don't know if you've ever heard that.
I'm in recovery, actually. I've been in recovery, so like most of the last 10 years.
From alcohol?
From drugs and alcohol.
So which is worse?
For me, drugs is the problem, but if I have a drink, then it's tougher for me to prevent myself from getting.
It sets off a chain.
Yeah.
But which is harder to quit? I've heard alcohol is harder to quit than drugs, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can only imagine because it's probably more readily available.
And it's social, and you're sitting and everyone's drinking and all.
Yeah, rarely do you go to a dinner and everybody's eating like, Xanaxes or something, for appetizers. Usually people are having like a mint julep or something a little fancier, Negroni I just learned about.
Right.
But yeah.
So you have a problem with that then?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's been in my family. My family, it's like, yeah.
Can you stay away from it?
Yeah, I've done a good job. I mean,
so how long have you been off?
I go to recovery meetings. I've been off most recently a little over 2 years.
Do you ever go back on?
Yeah, I've had stints where I go back on
and you don't control it.
It's tough. It goes downhill pretty quick.
No kidding. So you
think it's going to be easy.
You think you're controlling it.
And then you're you're doing your go-kart and racing with hookers and stuff. It gets bad.
It's just not to do it, right?
Right. So then in the end, you're like, I have to not do it. Did you see, like, with your brother, could you see it or anything? Like, man.
I was amazed because he had so much going, he had everything going. I think it happened in college at a fraternity maybe, or I don't know, somewhere along the line it happened. And all of a sudden, this is not unique. This is a very common story, unfortunately. But And then the family would see it and start to notice it, and it didn't get better. It didn't get better. I was amazed. He lived for so long in bad conditions. In terms of, I was amazed that his body could hold out. It held out, and it had bad moments, but his body was unbelievably strong that it could withstand this.
Yeah, it's a body. Your body's just so resilient.
Yeah.
Do you remember the last time that you saw him or spent with him?
I do, and
I'm sorry to ask you about it. Is it all right?
Yeah, no. It's the reason it's good talking about it is it might help other people. If it helps one other person, it's worth the conversation.
We talk about that stuff a lot on our podcast. Yeah. A lot of our audience struggles or has struggled with alcoholism, addiction, intimacy disorders, all types of stuff. So it's like it's pretty kind of normal conversation, but.
The interesting thing is, and I tell people, so I never had a cigarette and I've never had a glass of alcohol. And my brother was incredible. He would tell me, because he knew he had a problem, and he'd say, don't ever drink, don't ever smoke. He'd always add smoking because he did smoke a lot, which is, not very healthy. But he'd say, don't ever drink, don't ever drink. He'd tell me every time. I said, don't ever drink, because he knew he had this addiction. And I never had a glass of alcohol. Never, ever did I have a glass of alcohol because of him. And I would say that if I did drink, I could, conceivably be the type of personality that would have, like you, that would have a problem. But I never had. And the only thing I say to people is, if too late for the people that you're talking about, but if you don't drink, you don't miss it. I mean, I don't even think about alcohol or
right. Anything. It's not a part of your world.
I don't think about cigarettes. I don't think about any of that. If you don't take drugs or if you don't have alcohol, it's real easy not to drink it. When I had a friend who went to the Wharton School of Finance with me. He was a very smart guy.
Where is it, Wharton School?
That's in Philadelphia. That's at Penn.
Oh, yeah. Rocky.
Right. And it's a great school, great business school. And it's part of the University of Pennsylvania, the business school.
Oh, it's nice down there.
Yeah.
My friend's brother went there or something.
Well,
we ate near there once.
Then he was smart because it's a great school. But this person that I met, he hated the taste of scotch. Hated it. Couldn't stand it. But he insisted on having it because he felt it was important to be able to drink. I said, no, just don't drink. He said, to be successful in business, you have to sort of interact and you have to drink. And I said, don't do it. Anyway, he became an unbelievable alcoholic. Uncontrollable alcoholic.
Oh, I thought you meant like one of the best.
Yeah, and he died. He was but he hated the taste of scotch.
And he
couldn't live without it.
Wow.
Literally.
Well, I think I notice a lot of like in the recovery rooms and stuff, it's a lot of people that they're missing something inside of them. And so they take on so they want to try and fill it up with something else.
Yeah.
Do you remember the last time you spent with your brother?
I do. And he'd have periods where he'd get sick, very sick, and we thought we'd lose him or we lost him. Then he'd get better. And that happened 5 or 6 times. I mean, you thought you lost him, and then he got better. And it was amazing. I mean, he was, a certain way, very strong in that sense. And I just tell people it's so tragic. Don't drink. Just don't drink.
Yeah.
And you're not going to have a problem. Like even you, if you didn't drink, you would never, but you probably maybe wouldn't be successful like you are. It's part of your story, right?
It's helped me a lot. Yeah. Because I don't know what would happen probably. I think it's just too risky.
It is risky.
What's something that you miss about him, or what's something that you miss about him, Fred?
Well, he was wise in a sense. I mean, think of it. He's got this problem, and it was very important for him to convey to me not to have this problem. And I couldn't have been successful if I had that problem.
Yeah.
If I had that problem, and I think maybe I'm a personality type where I could have had the problem if I drank. But if you don't drink, you're never going to have it. I mean, I don't miss when I see somebody light up a cigarette and just they're in heaven. I don't miss that at all.
It's weird. It's so it's very Native American too.
Isn't it crazy?
It's bizarre. And I think sometimes our older brothers, they kind of they take the speed bumps for us, as younger brothers, so that we don't have to. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
my brother went through a lot of stuff so that I didn't have to go through it, and then I get to see him and learn.
Is he okay now?
Yeah, he's doing great now. But it's like, Yeah, that's one of the blessings, I think, of having an older brother. Is
Well, you can learn through history too, even if it's not a brother, it's by watching other people. I mean, you can see if you have a friend who's an alcoholic, or even just by reading about people, you can learn.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a brother, but in this case, it was very personal. It was a brother, and I learned not to drink, and I learned not to smoke cigarettes. Now, I don't know that I would have smoked cigarettes. I probably would have drank. I think, there's no reason not to drink. But I had a reason because he told me, just
that was it.
Don't do it. Yeah.
Yeah. That was kind of a blessing then, huh?
Yeah.
And where did you guys ever do anything fun together? Like one nice memory that you have with him?
He had a great talent for flying. He was a pilot.
Oh, sweet.
And he loved it. And
did you ever fly with him?
I did. I flew with him. He was a great pilot and a very talented. Other pilots would come to his house to study with him.
Watch him fly.
And he was really talented at that. But ultimately, he had to give that because of the alcohol. He had to give that up, which was a hard thing for him to do, but he had to give that up.
Election day is coming up on November 5th. And there's this really cool website, sendthevote.com, that makes it easy to register to vote. It's nonpartisan, which means they don't care who you're voting for. They just want to make sure you can vote. Head over to sendthevote.com. They'll help you sign up, register, and even check if you're good to go. I'll drop a link in the podcast description. Let's all get out there and cast our votes this November. Again, that is sendthevote.com. sendthevote.com. AI might be the most important new computer technology ever. It's storming every industry, and literally billions of dollars are being invested. So buckle up. The problem is that AI needs a lot of speed and processing power. So how do you compete with costs spiraling out of control? Well, it's time to upgrade to the next generation on the cloud. Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. OCI is a single platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs. OCI has 4 to 8 times the bandwidth of other clouds, offers one consistent price instead of variable regional pricing, and of course, nobody does data better than Oracle. So now you can train your AI models at twice the speed and less than half the cost of other clouds. If you want to do more and spend less, like Uber and Databricks Mosaic, take a free test drive of OCI at oracle.com/Theo. That's oracle.com/Theo. ORACLE.com/Theo. Yeah, it's crazy. That's the wildest thing to watch is people losing everything,
Yeah, no, they lose everything, and many, many people. And in those days, it wasn't drugs. It wasn't like don't drink, don't take drugs. I don't think drugs, I don't even know whether they're even a factor. They happened pretty long time ago, but I think in those days, I don't think were drugs a factor. You go back 25 years ago.
Not like it is now.
Well, certainly not like now. And
and that actually takes me into something else I wanted to talk about. Like alcoholism and addiction is something that's really ramped up, even like you're saying, like in the past 20, 30 years in our country, right? And during the opioid epidemic, they estimate that like almost 600,000 people died.
Yeah.
And that doesn't even include the broken hearts and the deaths of families and circles of trust, all, just people that lost a brother. It doesn't even include the actual, the siblings,
right?
And so the ripple effect of that is huge. And there's that Sackler family that pretty much got away with it. They had a financial slap on the wrist, but we're one of the only countries that allows drug advertisements and pharmaceutical companies to advertise on television. Like, what do you think are things that you can do to help curtail that when you get into office?
So, well, we did a great job. Does
that make sense or not?
Yes,
that question?
It does make sense. And we had committees, blue ribbon committees in certain cases, but committees that would meet. The big problem we have is, fentanyl is probably the biggest. Opioid is bad. Opioid is bad too.
Yeah.
I think that's bad because everyone thinks, in many cases, they think they're going to do away with pain. And literally the time is so short. If you take it for like 2 weeks, you're almost addicted to it. It's incredible when you.
Oh,
think.
well, all of that is horrible. But
How
why
did
do
you
we
get
allow
How
that
did
to
you get addicted? How did?
No, I would just do cocaine. That was really, yeah. So not just, yeah.
That's down and dirty, right?
Yeah. And I mean, it was, yeah.
But you don't anymore?
No, I don't do it anymore, man. And I'm not doing it.
Is it too much? Too much to handle?
Some of the stuff started to get a real rattle in it too. I don't know where we were even getting it from in this country, but yeah, it started to make me feel like I was a mechanic or something.
So the thing you go back to then is alcohol for the most part.
Right, yeah, but what I want probably is cocaine, but I know that if I have a drink, then it'll be like, okay, well, I had a drink, then I can do this.
Is cocaine a stronger
oh, yeah.
up?
Yeah.
So you're way up with cocaine more than anything else you can think of.
Cocaine will turn you into a damn owl, homie. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You'll be out on your own porch, and you'll be your own street lamp. You're freaking...
And is that a good feeling? Well,
no,
it's
horrible.
A miserable feeling.
But you do it anyway, just like the guy you're saying with the scotch. Like you knew it was bad, but you still.
So it's not even good during what would be normally the good time. In other words, oh wow. So why would you do it?
I wouldn't. That's why I don't.
Yeah, that's terrible.
But it's crazy because that's what alcoholism is. I think it's that it trumps the why.
Yeah.
It doesn't, and it just you don't. And you just go to. It's like, so that's why they say that it's cunning, baffling, and powerful. That's what they say about alcoholism. Yeah. And it is. It's
which is a bigger problem in our country, would you say?
Opioids.
Bigger than alcohol.
Oh, for sure. I think that's one of the biggest problems.
And compare that to fentanyl?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the problem is people are making fake opioids because they can't afford real ones or they're just getting them off the street and then they put fentanyl in them.
Yeah. Fentanyl's like laced into everything now. It's horrible.
It's horrible. Yeah. They found some in a baby rattle somewhere, I think. I don't even know where that was. But one of the things I wanted to ask you about was like, so there's like the big pharma lobbyists, like there's 1,800 big pharma lobbyists in Washington, D.C.
Right.
There's only 535 total representatives or senators total. So just the fact that there's this whole other almost drug government that's there kind of pushing pushing agendas and influencing things. Like, how do we stop that, man? It just seems like it's obviously killing people. Like people are dying, it's like, what do we have to do that our own government won't help us?
Well, you have to stop listening to lobbyists. I was not a big person for lobbyists. And if they have even a little access to like a president or a senator or a congressman or woman,
they're snakes.
They get a lot of money.
Yeah.
And in some cases, they just take the money. They don't do anything. But you have a lot of lobbyists in Washington pushing, and certainly a lot for all of the things that we're talking about, including winning. Alcohol.
The lobbyists are winning, it feels like.
Yeah, they're winning. They're making a lot of money, absolutely.
Can you stop that? Can a president stop that? Like, how do we stop that?
Well, one way you could stop it is to say if you're going to go into government, you can never be a lobbyist. In many cases, they have rules and regulations where you can't do it for 4 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever.
You mean be a lobbyist after you were an elected official?
I mean, you could.
Is that what you're saying?
You could say that if you're an elected official or if you work in government, you can never be a lobbyist. You have people that work in government and they give out contracts to the military. And then they leave and they work for the people that they're giving out contracts to.
That's exactly what happened with the Sackler family, with the drug companies. They hired people that were on the FDA to work for them so they could loophole the laws.
Yeah.
But can we outlaw lobbyists or we can't do that?
Well, there's a whole constitutional thing there. I mean, can you make somebody never, ever go into the business if you work for government, and especially if you're giving out contracts? In other words, you're a powerful person within some industry, the Navy, the Army, anything. It could be military procurement, etc. There's a whole thing there's a whole question as to you give out a contract and then all of a sudden you're working for the person you gave out the contract to or the company that you gave out the contract to.
Right. It's like you're playing both sides of the net.
Well, it's obviously a problem, and it's a big problem, and we were doing things about it, but then we had to get down to other business. We had to solve we had a lot of problems with this country. A lot of problems.
It's pretty clear that the establishment doesn't like you, I would say. What do you think?
Well, I think the people like me.
Oh, yeah, the
because
people.
We're leading now in all the polls. We're leading in Rasmussen just came out a little while. Rasmussen's a very highly regarded poll, and we're leading by 5 points. Rasmussen poll.
Haven't seen that.
And others also, and we're doing well. But I think the people like me a lot. You know,
I
we
agree.
won, and then we did.
No doubt.
So we won in 2016, and then we did much better in 2020. Much better. Got millions and millions more votes. And
Why does the establishment keep trying to sink you? Like, what is it that they are so afraid of?
well, in some cases, the things we're talking about right now, they want to sell product that I'm not interested in. They want to have certain boats and certain ships and certain planes and certain everything bought. Pharma is another one that's, interesting.
Or do they push back against you think?
Yeah, I think they do. Well, yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that they do. In one way, that's a positive thing politically, because when you can show that they push back, the voters seem to like it. But we have a lot of popularity. We have a lot of people that want to see me come back and win, because we had a great time. We had the greatest economy in history when I was president. We had
My cousin got a boat.
Numbers. Yeah, we had the best job numbers. African American, Hispanic American, if you look, Asian American job numbers, women, men, everybody. We did a lot of good things. We cut taxes more than anybody else, including Ronald Reagan. We cut regulations, which created jobs. We had a great period of time, and I think the people want it back. Based on what I'm seeing, the people want it back.
One thing that you did, recently we had Bernie Sanders on.
Right.
And
interesting.
I know.
That's very interesting.
Certainly, you guys don't agree on a lot of things, but I think you both acknowledge how horribly rigged the healthcare system is against the American people. Because hospitals and insurance companies get away with hiding their prices from all of us, and literally they can charge whatever they want. It's like you sign up and say, yes, I'll pay. You trust the hospital, but then you get home and the bill it's whatever, which pretty much feels like some form of extortion to me. That's what it seems like to me.
It's a form. Yeah.
But you had an executive order where you created a federal rule forcing hospitals and insurers to publish all their prices.
Yep.
Right? So that people would be able to know, okay, if an MRI costs $600 here and it's $5,000 there, then I can go here and save myself money.
Right.
But that hasn't even been enforced. Like hospitals...
Biden got away with it.
Hospitals and insurance companies, they're still not showing their prices.
They hated it.
Of course they did.
And because it would have made it very competitive. And Biden let it go. He never enforced it. And to get that approved was a big deal. And that would have brought down the price of
so many things.
Not only, just care, right? Care, physical care, mental care. That would have brought down the cost of care by 50, 60%. And Biden and Kamala didn't press it. It was a big thing to get it, but I'll be pressing it. And because I'll be pressing it, there are some people that are vehemently against it for financial reasons, for money reasons. But
those people can go to hell, dude. That's insane.
Yeah, no, they're bad people.
Especially because one of the leading causes of bankruptcy in America is medical debt. I mean, that's crazy. It's pretty crazy. I don't even think I made that up either.
No, it's when you think of it. At first, when you said it, I said, "Wow," and then I'm thinking about it. I said, "It's really not a wow." I understand it.
Yeah,
tremendous lobby, tremendous powerful lobby.
Well, yeah, because think about what else is going to put you in medical in that much of a debt. It's like, I believe that's accurate. Who's behind the healthcare insurance, that whole thing? Like, who's behind it all? It feels like Chuck Schumer is this kind of like deviant mastermind back there somewhere.
Well, he's one of the people that is hurt, and he's one of the people that keeps the prices high, and he's gets a lot of contributions from the people on the other side. And him and plenty of other people, a lot of people. It's a very powerful lobby.
But wouldn't they? Why
do
the
they
most
want
powerful
people? Lobby? The lawyer lobby.
That
feeds into that also. It all feeds into it.
Wait, hold on, just so I understand, Donald. Sorry. So that lobby is a very powerful one.
Yeah.
But why do those people want people to suffer though? Just so they can make money?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It really has to do with money.
That's crazy. How much money do they
probably
need?
start off by saying this is terrible, and then they eventually say, well.
But can we just as a country say, hey, how much? Okay, you need $3 million. We'll give you that. Fuck off.
Yeah.
We want to be healthy.
Yeah.
Like, can't we make a deal with those people?
They're very tough to deal with, and they've been taken care of by drug companies and others for years. You know, you have politicians that have been for years being taken care of by people that make a lot of money, and they want to keep making a lot of money. And it is, I mean, in that case, it's not a power thing, it's a money thing.
Yeah.
A lot of money.
What are some of the other lobbies that are out there that we don't even know about?
Well, the most powerful lobby is the lawyer lobby, I would say. The teacher's lobby is important or powerful, sometimes really to the detriment of everybody. But the most powerful lobby is probably the lawyers. Who would think that, right? But they have, that's why if you wanted to get rid of court cases and cut down litigation costs, which in this country is out of control, loser pays.
Crazy.
What you do is you go loser pays. In other words, the loser of a lawsuit has to pay for the other side, has to pay back all the money the other side spent.
You think that would solve it?
Yeah, it would get rid of 75, 80% of the litigation. We are a very litigious country.
Everything's under, it's all bureaucratic, it's all dirty paperwork, it's a bunch of rigmarole.
Well, if that would happen, you'd get rid of a lot of it. But the lawyers are opposed to it. It probably will not happen no matter what, because obviously the lawyers want to sue everybody.
What would have to happen? The Supreme Court would have to vote on something to make it happen?
I don't know. I think that it maybe would have to go before the Supreme Court. But the most powerful lobby is that lobby. And if you wanted to get rid of litigation, if you went, and you know, Europe has it, a lot of places have it in different countries where loser pays. If you sue somebody and you lose, you have to pay the costs of the other side.
Yeah, that makes sense, I think.
And what happens is people don't sue. It's a tremendous difference. But this country, the lawyers are very much opposed to it in this country. It's too bad.
Yeah, man, it's just pretty heartbreaking, I feel like. There was a rumor that you almost had RFK Jr. as a potential vice president.
No.
Okay. Just a rumor.
Yeah,
and
I like him. I've always liked him. But
yeah, I like him too. Bobby and I are friends. He's a friend of mine. I've known him for years.
He's a good man.
Yeah.
He's in there pitching. It's tough. It's a two-party system, and he's a third party. You know, it's a tough thing. He can't get registered now in New York. I see New York, and the Democrats have really opposed him vehemently. I haven't, but the Democrats have really opposed him.
So you think he should be allowed to run everywhere?
Well, the laws don't allow that.
Okay.
And the laws don't allow, unless you have 15 or 20%, whatever it is, they don't allow you to debate. You don't have to debate, so you can't get on the stage. You can't. And the debates are very important. I mean, I had a debate with Joe Biden.
Oh, yeah, I
and
saw
that was
it.
that was a very consequential debate, to put it mildly.
Well, yeah, they took the hand out of the puppet after that.
Well, they wanted to debate. They gave me everything that I didn't want, CNN. And then they gave me Dana Bash and Jake Tapper. Now, remember this. They were very straight during that debate. I gained a certain respect because Jake Tapper, who I call Fake Tapper, but I don't do that.
I saw him at Whole Foods.
I don't do that so much anymore. You did.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought they were very even-handed, if you want to know the truth, during the debate.
I didn't feel like the moderator. I didn't feel like they pushed a lot of stuff.
They had certain pressure on them to be even-handed. I think it's hard to not do that. But they were very even-handed, and it was a great debate, but a very important debate.
Well, after that, it seemed like suddenly everybody had been like, oh, Biden's fine. In America for like 18 months. Like my dad was really old when I was born. My dad was 70 when I was born, right? So I don't like seeing senior citizens take advantage of, right? I felt like that happened a lot when I was a kid. And so I think for me, it reflected on me like, it made me really angry because I was like, I know this guy's not well. It's not fair to pretend that he's well.
Yeah.
It's not fair to him because he doesn't know you're pretending, you know? And it just seemed like the cruelest thing you could do. And then we're all kind of supposed to believe this thing that we know is not real. Our media is just saying this is real. And we're all just being gaslit as humans about something that's like moral. Like this is a human man. This is somebody's grandfather. And then they just disappear. He just disappears, and suddenly it's like
It was a coup.
Kamala is the one that went in. What do you think happened in the back rooms there? Because that almost was overnight that happened.
I know what happened, and you're not supposed to do that. It's not supposed to be probably constitutional. She got no votes. He got 14 million votes. All of a sudden, they're telling him to get out, or they threatened him.
But who were
And he is
when
an
they say
angry person. Well, I would say Schumer, Pelosi, and numerous other people. The heads of the Democrat Party.
Yeah. Thugs.
And they did. They threatened him violently, I think. And he didn't want to
they
get out.
really
Remember, he said, only God will get me out, right? Only God will get me.
Somebody dressed up like God and just chased him out of there.
Yeah, and what happened is they went to him and they said, this was after the debate. Now, if he didn't have the debate, he would still be running.
Yeah. So they set him up. They knew they were going to pull him.
That I don't know. I mean, he had his debate. Maybe he wanted to. I heard he didn't. I heard they offered me things that I would never accept, and I accepted them. They said CNN. They said Jake Tapper, Dana Bash. They said all things that I could not take, and I accepted all of them. And, look, it was a good debate for me. It wasn't a good debate for him. I think he'd still be running right now. You wouldn't have her. She was one of the most disrespected people in the whole country. She was a failed vice president. She was the most, she was considered the worst vice president in the history of our country. She had no chance. If you go back 6 weeks, they were saying how bad she was, and they wanted to choose from 11 different people.
Do you feel?
I thought that's what they were going to have.
Oh, you thought that's really good? Well, that would have seemed more democratic, I think.
They wanted to be politically correct, and they chose her.
I feel like it would have seemed more, but dude, I got so angry when they sidetracked Bernie a few years ago. That wasn't fair. It
happened to Bernie twice.
Yeah.
You think about it.
Yeah. Oh, it was crazy. Yeah. 2016 and 22. He just got, it just wasn't cool. Like whatever you think, it's just like, we have to be able to believe
Would you like Bernie? Are you friends with him or something?
No, I met him the other day.
Was that the first time?
It was the first time.
Were you impressed by him?
Yeah.
One thing, he's still sharp, right?
Oh yeah, he's still sharp.
He doesn't suffer from what Biden did.
No.
Mental dullness.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
mentally gone.
Biden is
mentally
like,
gone.
He's somebody put a merry-go-round in his head, I heard. But that's, but they didn't plug it in. They didn't tell him.
Yeah, that's probably right.
But no, one thing I liked about Bernie, well, one of the things is the healthcare. I just feel like we spend so much money in different places, and people are sick. And the opioid epidemic, I just feel like, and the lower cost of drugs, those are things that
because I got insulin down, and they took credit for it. Mm-hmm. But I got it down to $35. And I said, I hope I win because somebody's going to take credit. It takes a period of time before it kicks in, statutorily. And I got it down to $35, which is a very low price. And they took credit for it, which is, now I'm taking credit because I'm talking to you.
Well, yeah, if you did it, then you should be able to take credit for it.
I just watched her performance today. So she went out and...
Who, Kamala?
She lied about everything. She said, this Trump tax, that Trump tax, that Trump tax. He's going to tax this, he's going to tax all these different things. And I'm not going to tax them. She made it up.
Did you know that 4 companies control over 80% of the U.S. meat industry? And China now controls the largest portion of U.S. pork. These companies are using mobster-like tactics to crush American family farms, and with the additives that they're putting into our food, Americans are stuck with sketchy meat. So what can we do about it? Let me tell you about a company that's coming up swinging on behalf of the American family farms and your family's food security. Moink. The business is simple. Moink's meat comes from animals raised outdoors, where a pig is free to be a pig. Hey, buddy. Their farmers are given an honest day's pay for an honest day's work, and they deliver meat straight to your doorstep at prices you can actually afford. So keep American family farms farming by joining the Moink movement today at moinkbox.com/Theo. Sign up today and get free hot rolls in your first order, spelled MOINK box.com/Theo. Oink, oink. Get moinked. Moinkbox.com/Theo. You know what it is, brother and sisters, baby. It's time for those wiener uppers, daddy. You feel me? BlueChew.com. They're helping. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but at a fraction of the cost in chewable form. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Blue Chew wants the entire country rock hard. They told me that that's the mission. They will not stop until every man is bricked up like a brick house. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use promo code Theo at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code THEO to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast.
Look, people in politics, many of them, not all of them, are really liars, but she's really a liar. She made up a series of lots of different taxes that Trump's going to charge you on clothing. He's going to charge you on this or that. And actually, she's the one, your taxes are going to go up by 4 times. And if the Trump tax cuts, because I got the largest tax cuts ever, but they expire in a number of months, pretty soon, she has to be able to do something about it. And she's unwilling and incapable. I'll tell you what, if she's the worst vice president ever, he's the worst president ever, a deadly combination. And we have a country where the borders are bad, where the world is blowing up. You look at Israel, you look at Ukraine, you look at all the different things that are happening.
Oh,
She has no clue. And you know what I say about her? Why don't you do it? You know, she complains about everything. She's been there for 3.5 years. Why don't you do it? All you have to do is say, why don't you do it? Why didn't you fix it? You could fix it right now. Don't, do whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
And she won't talk to you, and she won't talk to anybody. She won't be interviewed.
She's welcome to come on. I would love to get to talk to her.
I'm sure she'd be very exciting. Actually, you could make her exciting, probably.
You think?
Yeah, I think so.
Somebody said she's a good roller skater. That's what I heard, which is crazy.
That's about it.
Yeah. I mean, look, we're going to wrap it up soon, okay?
Yeah,
is that what you're saying? Okay, done. Sorry. Speaking of Kamala and speaking of the border, we had 2 Border Patrol agents that came on in the past 2 years, right? Because we wanted to learn about it from people that are there on the ground. And one of the things that we found out was a lot of times they keep arresting the same people because the people that are coming in illegally aren't being prosecuted. That's one of the biggest problems they were saying. What can we do differently to make things safe at the border? It's the fact that a father can't sleep at night because he doesn't know who's going through his yard or going through it. It's just not fair. It's not what you sign up for when you're an American. What are you going to do differently?
So the borders, I did it. We had the best border.
Oh, the wall, they should have kept it. I agree.
We had the wall built. We had more going to come long beyond what I promised. I built hundreds of miles of wall, and it worked. Walls work. Walls and wheels. I say it all the time. 2 things, they never get obsolete. Well, wheels and walls.
Well, they also supplied infrastructure. Like, people don't understand, the wall also was a place where Border Patrol agents could go to get water, to get food, to rest. It provided like a shelter out there as well.
It worked.
They're in the middle of nowhere. They said it worked. The two that I've spoken to said it worked.
And I was going to do 200 miles of wall. We had it built, and to the specifications of the Border Patrol. We were going to put it up. And it would take 3 weeks to put it up. That's an additional 200 miles to fill up certain areas that, when you make the wall, then all of a sudden they start coming through other areas. We had it wired, and they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't put it up. And I realized they wanted open borders. Kamala wants open borders. She's going to have open borders. We'll have 50, 60 million people because of them.
Sick.
We have over 20 million people, in my opinion, right now that came into our country. Many come from prisons, jails, mental institutions, many terrorists. Do you know that other countries now, their crime rate is way down because they're sending all their criminals to us?
It's a party.
They're sending all of their criminals to us. And who would take this? Why is this a good thing? It's a horrible. She should be ashamed. And, she was the border czar, too. He put her in charge. She was the worst border czar in the history of the world.
She's a roller skater. That's what somebody told me the other day.
She's terrible.
But what are you going to do? What's going to happen with the border when you're back?
We're going to seal the border, and I had it very well sealed. We had the most successful border in the history of our country. We're going to seal the border. We're going to finish up certain areas of the wall because they didn't do it. And we're going to have an unbelievable border. And we're going to spend a lot of time getting the criminals out. Look, we have murderers in our country now.
I don't think people should be allowed to be in our country if they're criminals.
Well, then you're going to be very unhappy to know that we have a lot of people, hundreds of thousands of murderers. We have people, drug dealers talking about drugs. It's not even believable that they'll do it. So what they've done is they've allowed murderers, people in prisons, people in jails, people in mental institutions, insane asylums, and terrorists to pour into our country by the hundreds of thousands. And they are in our country right now. And the country that brought them out said, if you ever come back, we're giving you the death penalty or we're going to kill you.
Well, in Brooklyn alone, there's a huge building that is housing just Haitian people. They're just housing this wandering around Brooklyn all the time. My friends are telling me.
They have some rough people too, really rough people.
So if you get reelected to the board, you're going to continue that project.
Well, we're
going to make sure it's safe.
We had the safest border and the best border in the history of our country, and now it's a disaster.
Somebody invited Biden to the border, and they said he went to a Borders Books, dude. And I was like, that's...
Well, they invited her, and she went to a place that doesn't have a problem, you know. She's a disaster. She is the worst vice president. It's the worst administration in the history of our country. She's a part of it. And she won't do an interview. She would never do an interview like this. She won't do an interview.
I want to learn more about her.
Well, I think you should ask her to come on.
Tell Barron I said thanks, man.
Good.
Yeah.
He's a big fan.
I hope to get to meet him someday. He seems like a neat kid.
Yeah, he is. He's great.
Is he? Yeah. And yeah, thank you for your time. I can't believe that I got to be able to sit down with you. I'm grateful to Dana White as well for setting this up. And I just appreciate you giving me your time today, Donald Trump.
Thank you so much. And good luck with your situation.
Yes,
You're going to do it. You beat it, right? You beat it. Good luck with it.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much.
Now I'm just floating on the breeze, and I feel I'm falling like these leaves.
For 50 years now, hip-hop has been a reflection of culture and society.
That includes stories of struggle
and pain,
social injustice,
racial inequality,
the marginalization of communities.
Today,
we confront a healthcare system
that has been rigged against all of us.
Hospitals force patients to sign contracts for services
without ever showing us actual prices.
Stifling competition.
Overcharging without accountability.
And if we can't pay,
these same contracts
allow them to take everything we own.
Creating so much fear
that millions and millions of Americans refuse to enter our hospital.
Putting our health and our lives at stake.
This is an American humanitarian crisis.
We love our nurses.
And we need our doctors.
But hospitals and insurers
rigging a system to make profits off of people that's in struggle is unforgivable.
We demand prices
and transparency in healthcare. Power to the patients.